evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. So real quick before we dive into the Lovander, wanted to touch base on the new stuff that I dropped for PC. It's not out on Xbox yet, Sag, but wanted to go over a couple of the patch notes specifically because there's some stuff that I'm going to have to test, but some also good things that I wanted to touch base on as well. We now have recovery meds that are going to be coming out, the ability glasses, which allows you to see the PAL stats before you even catch them, which is really dope. We have stat boosting increases now with power fruit, life fruit, and stout fruit, which I'm assuming is power, life, defense. We have now also a mercy hit ability that's a passive skill, which I imagine that this would probably be easier used with this ring of mercy, where it allows you to get the PAL down to the absolute lowest amount of health as possible without killing it, so it's easier to catch them and not kill them. Multi-climb and undershirt, you don't have to switch stuff all the time now. Now there are electric incubators which adjust for the temperature automatically, which is really dope. This ore mining site here is what I'm interested in as well, because now you can produce it while at the comfort of your own base. I want to see what that's all about. It's gonna be pretty crazy. The PAL update is also really crazy. Kelp seeds and dew muds now produce PAL fluid and high quality PAL oil. So as far as farming it, the ranches might actually be coming in more handy now, just for something other than honey, where you could buy eggs and milk a lot faster by doing gold farming. Now you actually have some opportunity to get some PAL fluid and high quality PAL oil. So yeah, this will be helpful for making weapons and repairing weapons. To be honest, I'm not sure if farming these are going to be faster than actually ranching them, so we'll have to test those. The Serpent Terra now does a weight reduction for metal ore, which is pretty interesting. Increase the amount of ore dropped while riding Astegon. This is something that we're definitely going to have to test. We have our Astegon from previous breeds that we'll be testing this on. So this is actually pretty interesting too. We'll have to look in how that actually operates, which I'm thinking by the means of this is that you could put a 2-star into a no star and it brings it up to a 2-star, or a 3-star, 4-star, so on and so forth. Now this is pretty interesting. Negative PAL status will be resolved after spending some time in the PAL box. So I'm wondering if this is also encompassing like depression and fractures and so on and so forth. If it does, then other than using medicine to get certain PALs back to work quick enough, then this could like completely negate medicine entirely, depending on how long it takes. This is really good. That way we don't have to guess like we were the other day while we were running Hylean. You can now check the cooldowns of the partner skills for all PALs on the main screen. This is really good now too. You can see what you're making. Also, we have the raid bosses coming in, which I'm going to be probably doing a video on as soon as it drops on Xbox. Nonetheless, let's get into the video. So today we are talking about the Lovander. Lovander, as it reads, while fighting together, grants the player and Lovander a life steal effect, which absorbs some of the received damage and restores health. So this reads the exact same as Fellbat. So we can assume that these are going to be identical as far as their capabilities, but we will be testing that just to make sure. As of right now, I will check her IVs real quick. So as of right now, as it sets the IVs on the Lovander that I have here is 58 out of 100 for health, 74 to 75 out of 100 for the attack, and 89 to 90 for the defense out of 100. So our defense is really good. Our attack's pretty good. Our health is a bit low, but it's above 50. In my opinion, if you have it above 50, you're in pretty good shape. To get the Lovander that I had got right here, I bred a Fellbat with a blank Celeray, which is right here. So after you get your Fellbat up, it's pretty easy to run through and get all these guys in some way, shape, or form. But we'll be boosting her up with Rib Bunnies, because she is a neutral PAL. As she's boosted up with Rib Bunnies, now we're at 954 attack, and we'll put souls into her on health, defense, and attack. See where we're at after that. We still got another level to go. All right, after we maxed her out on souls, now we're at 5,454 health, 1,239 attack, 683 defense. We'll feed her some food. Now we're at 1487. That's not too bad. A little bit on the lower end, I would say, but 1487 is nothing to scoff at. Pretty decent damage. We're gonna test her out on Anubis real quick, and we'll probably just see what we're doing with this, and then we'll test her actually on the tower bosses, because more than likely, if it's the same as Fellbat, then she's going to be better at giving more health off of the tower bosses. Yeah, works the same as Fellbat. The world bosses just take way less damage, so the percentages are going to be right, but they're going to be less than with the tower bosses, because the tower bosses you can do more damage to. All right, we'll test her on Lylene. Yeah, we're getting a lot more health, and this is at no stars as well, so. So she's done healed herself all the way back up, and she's almost dead anyway. So yeah, even with no stars, it's pretty decent. On par with Fellbat. So if she's on par with Fellbat, then I see no reason to really test her star to star, because we know what that is, as it is 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%. So at 0, it's 2. At 1, it's 3. At 2, it's 4. At 3, it's 5. And at 4, it's 6%. So we're just going to crank her all the way up and then test her combat capability to see how she does against some of these tower bosses. After we have cranked up her stars and maxed her out, we are now at 6,663 health, 1,810 attack with 834 defense. And we have her at level 50 now as well. What we're going to do is test her against the second to highest tower boss. First highest being Shadowbeak, but he's dark and she's extremely weak to dark. But we could test him on, well, we'll throw her in there. If she dies, then she dies, but we'll test her. But we'll test her on this one first. Healed herself up back to full. Well, there you have it. She didn't really drop below a quarter health the entire time. I guess the only logical step to go to now is test her how she does against something that she's weak to. We're also going to beef her up with some dragon style stuff to give her an upper hand against old Shadowbeak. We're gonna also give her some Flare Storm as well. That way she can do some quick attacks back to back. But yeah, as of right now, we're going to be running Draconic Breath, Dragon Meteor, and Flare Storm. I do not see this boding well, but we got to test her. Oh, so yeah, the fire actually does work that way. So when he's on fire, she's progressively getting health back as well. I'm gonna give her some help on this as well. He's heavily trying to concentrate on me right now. Well, I actually might die. Oh, here it comes. Yep, there it is. I actually died before she did. Victor was not having my help. You know what? We don't need a flyer for this, so we're gonna boost her up with one more rib bunny. All right, so with the addition of the other rib bunny, we are currently at 1968, so almost 2K. This is feasible to do with the tower bosses because it's usually, if you have the waypoint beside of it, it's not that far to get to them. So 4 stacking against the tower bosses is definitely viable. Whoop. She about got smoked there. There's really nowhere to hide behind any of this stuff, which is kind of goofy. Well, Lovander has been defeated, but she lasted longer than I expected her to. Well, she couldn't quite hang in there with Shadowbeak, but every other tower boss, I would say 100% should be viable against. It's just that she's weak to dark, and whenever something is weak to something, it takes a significant amount more damage. Huh, duly noted. So if it's getting dark and you have a pal that is incapacitated, then you can sleep and they're back up to full health and everything. So that's good. So all in all, is Lovander worth it? That is the question. I would say yes and no. The reason why I say yes is because she does start out with a handiwork 2 and a medicine 2 and a transporting 2. And if you have raids turned on, they do come in a form of raid pretty early on. So you can get her pretty early. As far as maxing out, I don't think that she's worth it for that, just because in comparison to Fellbat, you're way better off because you can crank out more damage from her and the life steal capabilities are identical. But even with that, you could probably, if you don't see it in a raid, you could probably get Fellbat just as early. So between the two, I would go with a Fellbat over a Lovander, just because of the simple fact that you can crank out way more damage from her. She is dark, so she's not weak to that. They're good for tower bosses, so out of all the tower bosses, dark is weak to dragon. And there's a couple, I don't know, I'm trying to think if any of them really use any dragon attacks. I guess the Orsic does, because he's technically a dragon type as well. Yeah, but even with that, he uses mostly lightning skills, so it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, is Lovander worth it? No, I don't think so. Maybe early base pal stuff if you can manage to catch one from the raids that are low level that come at you really early. But other than that, not really. There's better alternatives for all the stuff that she does and stuff that you can get quicker anyway. So next up, we will be testing Lylene Nock, kind of keeping the rotation because we did Fellbat first, then we did Lylene, then we did Lovander just now. We're gonna do Lylene Nock next, and then we'll finish up the series of the medicines or the healing pals with this one and T-Fan. Also, with the update coming out, there's going to be a lot of stuff, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that we're going to be testing. A lot of new stuff that's going to be going down, but we will also be continuing with this series of testing all the pals. There will be some in-between stuff with the newer update because there's a lot of stuff that they just added and fixed that we're going to have to test out. Other than that, if you like the video, drop a like. If you like my content, drop a sub, drop a comment down below on what you think of the Lovander, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Keep your willy washed. Peace out.